After years of avoiding the oversized smartphone craze, Apple caved and announced not one, but two newer, bigger iPhones. How well does iOS scale? Is the biggest iPhone worth it? Let's find out. I'm Taylor Martin with Pocket Now, and this is our iPhone 6 Plus review, brought to you by Squarespace. The biggest changes in the iPhone this year are in hardware, and that's a perfect place to begin. For starters, Apple has gone back to a unibody design, trading the flat edges from the last 4 iPhone models for rounded edges that blend into a completely flat backside, which is oddly reminiscent of the original iPhone. The only break in the casing is for some polycarbonate spacers for the antenna inlay, a proclaimed eyesore for many. The iPhone 6 Plus, the larger of the two, is unapologetic about its size. It's taller and wider than most other smartphones with similar sized displays, like the Oppo Find 7a. But it's also incredibly thin, just 7.1mm thick. It's so thin Apple couldn't manage to fit the camera housing inside the phone, so it protrudes about a half a millimeter out of the back, which makes the phone rock when on a flat surface. The iPhone 6 Plus isn't exactly lightweight like previous iPhones either. It's a hefty 72 grams. That, paired with the slick rounded edges and the two-handed nature of the phone, make this an unusually dangerous combination. It feels like it might slip out of your hand at any given moment. For that very reason, we felt more confident carrying it in a case. That's not to say the phone isn't built well though. It's built with exceptional precision. That's evident from the way the glass just flows over the edge of the phone and how the mute switch firmly snaps back and forth. And it feels substantial. However, both new iPhone models have faced some controversy over their alleged susceptibility to bending. User reports of bending iPhones have spread like a wildfire across the internet, but Apple maintains that the number of official claims of bent iPhone 6s are minimal, less than 10 as of last week. We'll put it this way, every phone is susceptible to some degree of bending under a certain force. However, aluminum phones in particular don't have the ability to bounce back quite as well as, say, plastic. Basic science will tell you that. Through normal usage, our unit shows no signs of any warping or bending of any sort. Internally, Apple has added and upgraded a few things, like the new A8 chip, which is a 1.4 GHz dual-core Cyclone CPU and PowerVR GX 6450 quad-core GPU. It also tweaked some of the storage options, confusingly leaving 16GB, dropping 32, and adding 128 for power users. It still has just 1GB of RAM and an 8MP camera, though the 6 Plus comes with optical image stabilization. And the battery is much larger this time, to offset the new display size, 11.1 Wh or 2915 mAh. Apple also introduced NFC for Apple Pay and Wi-Fi 802.11ac. The display, however, is the biggest upgrade of all. At 5.5 inches and 1080p resolution, the IPS LCD is in line with most other flagship displays. It bears an acceptable pixel density of 401 pixels per inch and comes with extra vibrant colors, high contrast, and a very wide brightness range. That said, it does err a little on the warm side. Still, it's a gorgeous display that is perfectly suited for all sorts of media consumption. It's what Apple did, or didn't do, to take advantage of that space that leaves us most perplexed. And that brings us to software. The iPhone 6 Plus ships with the brand new iOS 8. We've covered it in detail multiple times now over the course of several videos. Visually, not much has changed since last year's major UI overhaul. Control Center is a little cleaner and you may notice some minor differences here and there, but for all intents and purposes it looks the same. Most of the changes are behind the scenes, like extensibility, which allows third-party integration in various parts of the OS. When sharing a photo or a web page, there are more options than ever before included in the stock share menu. You can toggle specific surfaces off or on and rearrange them based on your needs. Third-party keyboards may be one of the most requested features of all. In the keyboard settings, you can select which keyboards are active and the order they appear. You can even disable the stock iOS keyboard. While gesture typing on an iPhone is nice, we found that the overall third-party keyboard experience is jerky at best. Third-party apps can also now display information in Notification Center's Today page. Most of these widgets are simply news feeds or general information for certain apps, but widgets like Evernote and Cheat Sheet provide a certain utility not previously found on iOS. Other improvements include Health Kit, family sharing for sharing App Store and iTunes purchases across up to 6 accounts, improved spotlight searches with Wikipedia cards or movie info from IMDb, Shazam song recognition from Siri, and hands-free Siri activation while charging. As far as specific software for the sheer size of the iPhone 6 Plus, Apple did almost nothing to take advantage of the extra display space. An extra row of icons was added to the home screen, the entire UI now rotates a full 360 degrees, Apple also included reachability, which we haven't found very helpful, and some applications display in a multi-pane view. But there are no software features included that truly make use of the 5.5-inch display. iOS 8 had the potential to be one of the most impressive software updates from Apple, possibly ever. Don't get us wrong, it's still the same iOS we know and love, and third-party support is nice, but Apple failed to capitalize in some areas and overpromised in others. If anything, iOS 8 feels like a rushed product. The upshot is that the performance is seemingly unaffected. iOS 8 on the 6 Plus is as fluid as ever. Opening apps, zooming, scrolling, switching apps, and everything else is snappy and extremely smooth. Everything from unlocking the phone with Touch ID to launching the camera happens in an instant, and we have yet to experience any lag. Performance is top-notch. Gaming on the larger 1080p display is more comfortable and enjoyable than before, and it never skips a beat. One of the most surprising and impressive aspects of this phone is its loudspeaker. Positioned along the bottom edge, it isn't the most ideal location, seeing as it's easily blocked and muted with the palm of your hand. However, it has some punch to it. It's plenty loud and has a surprisingly full sound. In that same vein, speakerphone quality was great. We had no trouble hearing callers even in very noisy environments. That said, regular call quality was more muddy than we would have expected. We'd call it mediocre at best. Data speeds, on the other hand, have been great on Verizon Wireless here in the Piedmont Triad of North Carolina. Also great is battery life. We were a little worried the extra display could affect the stamina if Apple didn't properly scale the battery inside. It did. We have no trouble whatsoever in lasting a full day on heavy usage. On days of lighter usage, we were able to last well into a second day of usage on a single charge. For more detail on battery life, be sure to check out the full review on the Pocket Now site. We're quite pleased with the camera as well. It's still 8 megapixels, but that's perfectly okay. Shots in full daylight manage to capture tons of detail, and the pictures are vibrant yet accurate. Contrast is great, and there's even a nice defocusing on close-up shots. At the very least, pictures are a little cool, but the new built-in photo editor works wonders on photos. With optical image stabilization, we figured low-light shots would be noticeably better. Not so, at least not initially. Low-light photos turned out just like before, muddy, muted, oil paintings. The 6 Plus seems to capture more light at the expense of detail, despite its hardware stabilization. However, slide your finger up just a hair to bump the exposure level, and your low-light shots might turn out even better. We did so to some success in several scenarios. Overall, the camera on the 6 Plus doesn't disappoint. It's a little upsetting that OIS doesn't dramatically improve night shots, but we've been very pleased with most pictures we've taken with the iPhone 6 Plus. And trust me, that's a lot of photos. In all, the iPhone 6 Plus is exactly what we imagined it would be. Nothing more than an oversized iPhone. And while Apple did little to take advantage of that extra space, it made up for it in other areas, like speaker quality, battery life, and even performance. If you're willing to take the plunge on a 5.5-inch phone, well, not for everyone, you might be surprised by how useful the extra screen actually is. The phone is perfect for anyone who watches tons of video, plays lots of games, excessively texts or IMs, and browses the web. This is a phone that provides extra screen for doing more, and for that, we'd say it delivers quite well. Once again, I'm Taylor Martin, this is Pocket Now, and this review was brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website, portfolio, and online store. For a free trial and 10% off, visit squarespace.com and enter the offer code POCKETNOW at checkout. A better web starts with your website. Folks, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more mobile videos in your sub box. Find us around the web on Twitter, Google+, Facebook, and Instagram at Pocket Now. I am Taylor Martin, Casper Tech on Twitter, and I will see you next time.